Good morning, everybody, and a happy Tuesday morning to you. Once again, a super long video. We're discussing things like Harry and Meghan's potential trip to Ghana, their biggest blunders for the year of 2020. There's just a lot. I'm not even going to cover all that here. Let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off this morning with King Charles. He attended church at Sandringham, and so he was seen in high spirits attending the morning Sunday service at St. Mary Magdalene Church. He was walking along, he was beaming, he was waving. Apparently it was cold there. It was 6 Celsius, which is 42 in the United States, which is pretty chilly. So, yeah. Anyway, they've been attending that church, which, by the way, is a 16th century church on the Sandringham property, for the Christmas service every year. Of course, we're all looking forward to the family walking to church. Of course, the former Duke of York will not be there for Christmas this year, and we will be discussing Andrew about that in just a few. Now, sticking with the Christmas theme, you should know that royal curtains from the Sandringham estate are being recycled into Christmas stockings. Can you imagine if only those drapes could speak? They're from Sandringham House in Norfolk. They have been recycled into 25 stockings from a sewing bee group. Its members met at Dumfries House, where the charity from the King's Foundation is based, and they get all the money that will be raised. When I say they get all the money, I mean charity. 100% is going to charity. Now, one stocking is being given to King Charles as a Christmas present, and the other 24 are being auctioned. Now, we know that the King's Foundation gives opportunities for people to learn practical heritage skills and focus on sustainability. I have to tell you, when you look at the stitching on the front of those stockings, it's gorgeous. They apparently spent 6 hours crafting each stocking with hand embroidery, piping, and seam matching skills. Unbelievable. I'm hoping to get in on this auction. Yeah, I know, but you never know. The auction opens at 5 p.m. on Friday, December 12th. That stocking is just in time because the Palace at Holyrood in Edinburgh is welcoming visitors over the holiday, and it is ready for the royal Christmas. It has been decorated since November 20th. The throne room, the dining room, more locations. It looks absolutely gorgeous. According to the Royal Collection Trust, which cares for artifacts in the Royal Collection and manages the public opening of the royal palaces like Windsor and Buckingham, this year's holiday transformation has 2 12-foot Christmas trees and a mantle garland in the throne room, as well as seasonal garlands that bring, a little bit of extra grandeur to the grand staircase leading up to the state apartments. The royal dining room has also been readied for the holiday feast. Love it. Let's move on now to Prince William, who they're reporting was really moved because he had a recent visit with children from Gaza who are being treated in the UK amid the Israeli-Palestine conflict. And Kensington Palace said that William wished to offer a moment of comfort to these young people who have endured experiences no child should ever face. And he also went on to add that William was able to offer his heartfelt gratitude to staff at the National Health Service hospitals in the UK for providing exceptional care during such a profoundly difficult time. The children are being cared for as part of a government humanitarian mission due to the collapse of medical care following the conflict in Gaza, which we know started on October 7th when Hamas launched a surprise attack on southern Israel, killing hundreds of civilians and taking 150 people hostage, some of which still, after 2 years, have not been returned. Another FYI, William is the first British royal to make an official visit to Israel. Fabulous. All right, let's move on. And I had to talk about this. They're calling this boy the hottest royal you've never heard of. He is celebrating his 29th birthday earlier this month. Alexander Charles Ogilvy is set to step into the spotlight next year. He is 60th, 6-0, in line to the throne, and he may be in next year's Trooping the Color Parade because he graduated from the Royal Military Academy of Sandhurst in August. He signed up to the prestigious Household Cavalry. He's been commissioned into the Blues and Royals, and they're saying that he's Britain's most eligible bachelor. Now, while he is single and has model good looks with impressive academic credentials to boot, they're saying he also has a sense of humor. When he was asked to pick 3 words that best describe him, he said, fraudulent, insecure man. And he says one of his favorite hobbies outside work is practicing a British accent. He has a double major in computer science and economics from Ivy League Brown University, and he worked for a reputable digital identification verification company in New York. Yes, I would say he's eligible. Ooh. By the way, at one point, he began dating Michaela Kennedy Cuomo, the daughter of former New York City Mayor Andrew Cuomo and Kerry Kennedy, whose father is Robert Kennedy. All right, let's touch on Andrew and Sarah really quickly. I told you this was going to happen. It's being reported they were quietly placed under a suicide watch style monitoring system because of everything going on. And senior royals made the move because they feel the 2 of them have been so overwhelmed by scandals and isolation that they may be at risk of self-harm. Yeah, won't even let them come to the family for Christmas. What's being said is the family is keeping an eye on them because they don't want a tragedy on their hands. They're enough of a burden alive, and no one needs them turning up dead from a suicide pact that would cause even more of a headache. I think they truly care about them. That's my opinion. Let's keep going. Moving on, King Charles and Queen Camilla sent their sympathies to the family of Sir Tom Stoppard. He is a playwright that passed away at the age of 88. He had won Oscars. He had won a Golden Globe, apparently very talented. And Charles said, quote, a dear friend who wore his genius lightly, he could and did turn his pen to any subject, challenging, moving, and inspiring his audiences born from his own personal history. And I also want to throw this in here. West Ham used to have a player by the name of Billy Bonds. He was the longest serving player for the Irons. He played 799 appearances over a 21-year career, which saw him win the FA Cup twice. Pretty cool. He then moved on to coaching, and then he was appointed manager in February of 1990. And then he took the Upton Park Club back into the top flight at the start of the Premier League. He was signed from Charlton in 1967. Oh my goodness, what a loss to the football community. All right, let's move on. All right, let's move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. In case you're unaware of this, Meghan Markle has now been nicknamed Salmonella Sussex. Remember, I told you guys the other day that her cooking habits are not good. Remember when she licked the spoon and then put it back down for other people to lick on when she was, showing us how to make workstations in the morning for her guests over Thanksgiving? And then remember I showed you the video of her making that turkey? Remember I told you before she had all of her jewelry on. So there was bacteria on the jewelry that she transferred to the food, but it was even worse than that. She's missing basic food handling knowledge because not only did she handle the turkey, then after she handled the turkey, she picked up the pepper grinder without washing her hands, which means she then spread the germs to the pepper grinder. In the video that I did on my second channel, you'll notice in the corner the disinfectant wipes, and that's because we were constantly wiping everything down, not to mention constantly washing our hands in order to stop the spread of bacteria. You also notice none of us had on any jewelry. There weren't things hanging down that you could, get germs on. It's disgusting. I wouldn't eat at her house unless you're planning on getting sick. Why she insists in showing off her jewelry and her wealth like that, I don't get it. All right, let's move on. Now let's move on to the next thing that happened. We know that while Meghan Markle is constantly taking the piss out of the royal family, she also copies them and uses them to try to promote her as ever brand. So here we have a picture, and Meghan showed she was a fan of British author and illustrator Charlie Mackesy. She posted a snippet from his best-selling book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, on her Instagram. So she was promoting honey and a new leather bookmark Christmas gift set from As Ever, and the product is being launched just before Christmas. And I also showed you it included the short clip of Meghan writing what's supposed to be calligraphy in a notebook, and the book was open to a page with the words, "Always remember you matter, you're important, and you are loved, and you bring to this world things no one else can." Remember, Catherine included illustrations from this guy in her 2024 Christmas Carol service, which, we know she hosted after her cancer diagnosis and treatment. So if you did think that people didn't notice her choice of books to help promote, of all the books in the world, she had to use this book. And that just shows that she copies Catherine at every freaking turn. And this guy, by the way, is also a very close friend to the royal family. And he illustrated an image of the snowy scene with the group of people walking arm in arm towards Westminster Abbey. That was the one that was specifically made for Catherine's annual Christmas Carol event. Was also previously featured in Queen Camilla's Reading Room Book Club and had a conversation with her about his book in 2021. He drew an illustration for the Queen's Book Club that had an owl with an open book with the words "The Reading Room" on the front. We're going to move on now back to Meghan's 1-minute trailer for Netflix. You're not going to believe this because remember, in this, she's supposed to look like a hostess, a life guru, and a global celebrity. So she's skipping through the trees, talking about how she loves the holiday season. What people want to know is what she was wearing. $62,279 or pounds, which is the same as like $84,000. And the very first outfit that you're looking at, the coat was $5,400. The sweater, which is supposed to be all humbling, is $862. And the white shirt, $1,180. Let's move on to the jewelry. $49,655 worth of jewelry. When you look at this trailer and she's talking about finding time to connect with the people we love, and she pops some champagne and pauses to give Harry a kiss, and it's supposed to look handed, but it's absolutely choreographed. And what she wants you to see, the overall impression, is time, resources, and money poured into crafting a Christmas experience that literally is too pristine to touch. You have, wardrobe changes and immaculate interiors, and, you can't distract from the scale of glamour that's on display. She wants you to believe that she's the queen of Christmas and everything you're looking at is obtainable. I assure you it is not. Let's continue. Now, the trailer came out and the Sun had something to say about this. I love these people because they always say exactly what I'm thinking, but they say it better than me. So listen to this.
First of all, no, where are the potatoes, where are the carbs? Because that's what my Christmas looks like. It doesn't look like, greens and a random dip that's probably low fat. I just think that, first of all, there's no, it's sort of not cordon bleu that she's gone and done that. There's no culinary excellence within this cooking program, even though she kind of pretends to be that. And in terms of the jam, it's 20% off Black Friday sale at the moment. I don't want this to look like an advertisement for it, but she's very eager to shift that jam. It didn't sell out immediately on a second or third drop. So I think she's having plenty of issues because she told Bloomberg that she's, ordered hundreds of thousands of units because they kept selling out. They haven't managed to sell that out. So I guess if this is one last ditch effort to get rid of that jam, good for her. But I think it's the last that we'll see of her on Netflix. She's cozied up to Jeff Bezos at at Kris Jenner's birthday party. She's looking for the next prospect. Yeah, this might be the last we see of her on that streaming platform.
Spot the heck on, my friends. You know what I'm saying? They always say it just as good as me. All right. Now, next up, remember the Harper's Bazaar interview? People are talking about the fact that Meghan made the comment that she was attracted to Harry's childlike wonder and playfulness, and that he loves her boldly and fully. So basically what she said is Harry is a man boy. He's dependent on her. And essentially, she's implying that Harry is childish and she sees him as an accessory and an assistant. And also notice she keeps saying, he loves me boldly, we're in love, but not once. And I searched, and I suggest you guys go search for yourselves. Not once can I find where she said, I love Harry. Not one time. I mean, what Meghan basically said is that this quality in Harry, the childlike wonder that initially attracted her and has influenced their shared life, to me, I take it as she realized he was malleable. She realized she could control him with touch. She realized that she could launch her, life off of the platform that she would get from him. That's the way I took it. Those remarks were patronizing and cruel, and I just think Harry's too dunce to even realize it. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Marry in haste, repent in leisure. And that's exactly what you've got going on here. All right, let's move on. All right, let's move into our next story for today. We're talking about all the blunders of 2025 for Harry and Meghan because he wants to reconcile with the family, but the two of them just go from one blunder to another. They have annoyed some of the most influential people in Hollywood. They keep getting tripped up by chasing relevance in Hollywood. So let's take a look. To start off with, we have the whole sticky fingers Meghan Sussex going on because she wore this emerald green galvan dress from a 2022 Variety photo shoot, and it looks like she kept the outfit without permission. And then, of course, there's the dress from the 2022 photo shoot with the cut that appears to have made its way into Meghan's closet as well. Meghan using her titles to publicize her brand despite them making the agreement that they would not trade on the family links. You have her being announced into the brownstone in New York. You have her telling Mindy Kaling, I'm Sussex now. That's our family name. Then you have Remembrance Day weekend. So what did Harry do while the royal family's out doing their thing? He touches down in Canada. And then the trip coincided with William flying to Rio de Janeiro. And of course, Harry swore that he told the family, but when they asked for information of who he informed and when, of course, he couldn't give that information because he lied. Then, of course, during Remembrance Day Sunday, Harry and Meghan go to Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, and then they manage to infuriate the Kardashian clan by insisting pictures of them be taken down from Instagram, and they claim there was a waiver, which of course they later backtracked and said there was no waiver. Then, of course, they went to Our Big Kitchen to help prepare a Thanksgiving meal, but it's pretty obvious that food was never meant to go out because nobody was wearing a hairnet. Meghan was wearing an Archwell cap. It was all for PR promotion, and they're using their children again. So it's getting to the point where it's really desperate. All right, last up, Ghana. Everybody's like, Ghana told Harry and Meghan no. No, here's what happened. Sussexes were actually invited to Ghana by their officials and some cultural influencers, but they have not confirmed any plans to visit, nor have they officially asked to go as part of a formal royal tour. And apparently this offer was put out after their visit to Nigeria because there were reports in British and international media that there was interest from Ghanaian officials to host the couple and that a, quote, red carpet reception was ready for them if they chose to visit. However, since then, the government invited an actual working royal, Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh, who went to the official visit in November of 2025, and that move scuttled any potential unofficial tour plans by Harry and Meghan. That's what they're saying. Now, there are several reasons being cited for why Harry and Meghan haven't gone there. Number one is security. They're saying that Meghan won't go, but that's why she didn't even go with Harry to Angola, because they can't secure her safety. Number two, their trips are lacking a formal purpose. So unlike official royal tours, they're meaningless. And the success of their Nigerian visit was attributed to her Nigerian ancestry, and that is not present in Ghana. It was also there because they were there for Invictus Games. Some people believe that they're copying royal tours, which we know they are, which is causing tension in the royal family. And also, even though there have been reports of an invitation, again, no official announcement or plans for a visit. So it could be that they've decided to focus on the real royals, which is why Edward went. Love it. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications so you'll know when a video uploads or I go live. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, which makes a really good stocking stuffer, by the way, a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.